everybody. This is Win Sports. My name's Abdullah Konte, and I'm here with Skylar Nelson, our reporter for Win Sports. And we are ready for week one. It's week one. We're back at it. We haven't made a video in about a week or so, a little over a week, ever since the last preseason game. There has been news out there, but we kind of, wanted to lay low and get reloaded for the season. So first off, Skylar, how you been? It's been a minute. How have you been in these last 10 days or so since the last game?
I've been pretty good. I'm just observing, kind of seeing what the previews are going to be for this upcoming week. Honestly, obviously, practice has kind of been on and off this week. But we are going to get back out there next week after the first preseason game. Well, after the first regular season game. My apologies. But yeah, no, honestly, this has just been a week of just big news, obviously predictions, and just, getting back into the swing of things. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a good week.
It's good. I mean, it's good to hear. Obviously, it's football week. We're back at it. We're excited. I think everybody's excited here,
Yeah.
just to get football rolling again. For me, it's the most fun time of the year. Watching college football. I don't know if you watched any college football last week. I know you're going to Howard, cover Howard, playing Temple tomorrow. But
Yes.
it's been nice, getting just football in general back. The vibes are good. Look, I love the fall. I love football season, so I'm just
Yeah.
excited. I'm excited to get back on the field.
Yeah.
So there
Speaking
was a
of
few.
college football,
Yeah, go
real
ahead.
quick,
Go ahead.
University of Maryland, the Terps, they got
Terps
their
look good,
first,
man. Yeah.
yeah, they
Yeah,
got their first home game.
Malik Washington, he looks good. They got a game
Yes.
tomorrow. We'll have Marcus Relacion covering for us up there tomorrow, so we'll have pictures and stuff like that from that game. But ultimately, man, they've been in search for a quarterback for a long time. So for them to get one, they look pretty good. So we're gonna have to
Yeah.
keep our eyes on that, and we might have some segments on this show about Maryland specifically. But for
Yeah.
right now, we're gonna concentrate on Commanders. But it is good to see Howard back. Good to see Maryland back. And as much as we're covering Commanders, we do plan on covering other sports and some of these other teams also. So yeah, if you are interested in Maryland, man, we will be covering that. Make sure to tune into their game tomorrow. Make sure to tune into Howard's game on Saturday. But yeah, I mean, obviously outside of that, there have been moves and have been things have happened with the Commanders overall since we've talked last. I think the three major things would probably be, roster cuts, and Terry signing. And then, we've just been kind of waiting on the Kendrick Bourne thing. I don't know if that's huge news, but that's just something
Yeah.
that, we've been hearing about and kind of waiting to see. So yeah, what's your take? Yeah, I mean, did you have any takes on just the roster itself, any surprises, things that happen, whether it's, Bill being mentioned as a number four, we saw the depth chart too. So him being the
Yeah.
fourth running back, does that alert you or anything? So yeah, what's your thoughts on everything that's happened in the last week?
Well, I will start off with Bill since you mentioned that first.
Hmm.
I will say I'm not really shocked about where his placement is on the depth chart, but I was kind of thinking that they were going to place Rodriguez and him kind of a little higher. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I understand that Dan Quinn and their coaching staff, this is the type of coaching staff that is going to rank their players accordingly. They're not going to push them out so fast because they know
Yeah.
the attention that they are receiving. And they also don't want teams to expect them coming. So I understand that part. And
Hmm.
it's definitely something that, I think is a good thing and something that the Washington Commanders coaching staff does pretty well. So, I'm not surprised you guys are going to see Bill. Don't worry.
Hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if you see him very early on, making an impact against New York. Same with Chris Rodriguez, Jeremy McNichols, you probably will see him more. But, Austin, something that kind of stood out to me yesterday in Dan Quinn's press conference was how he was able to express and explain the versatility that is in the RB room. So for
Hmm.
me, it's just kind of he described that each player is good for different things, and that's what they wanted for the RB room. That's what they're
Mm-hmm.
working on for the wide receiver room. Each
Mm-hmm.
player, yes, has the same position, but they're great for different things. And
Yeah.
that's why too, I was expecting Austin to be at number one. For those things alone. I mean, Austin had a great season last year despite the concussion injury. He's been getting back into the swing of things. So, I'm not surprised by the rankings. I did kind of think that they would just a little bit put Rodriguez and Bill just a little bit higher than McNichols, but I'm not mad at it. It's the first week of the season. Things change all the time, but I do feel like you're gonna see all four of them in rotation, probably seeing Bill and Rodriguez just a little bit more, and that's fine
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's a good point. I think they're building a team. They're not, and I think that's kind of when people saw the Brian Robinson thing happen a couple weeks ago. I think people just
Yeah,
automatically associated that with they love Bill and Bill's going to be the new number one. And I think it's really that
yeah,
they like the group. They like them as a whole. They like all four of those guys. They all bring something new to the table. So I think that even seeing the depth chart and
yeah,
seeing Bill at number four doesn't mean that like he's going to be the fourth one to get a carry. I don't think that's the case. I think he might be the first or second one to get the carry. I think
exactly.
Eckler is probably going to start it off, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see Bill. And I think it's one of those times where like they don't really want to talk to. I think they found like a gem, and they're not really willing to just like say, "Hey, everybody, come look at our new guy, our new guy." Like I think they want
Yeah.
him to earn his spot and earn his carries. So
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing about this team. They're building teams. They're building those groups together. And yeah, I think if you really look at it, each one of those guys does bring a different thing. I think I'm still only worried about just like power goal line kind of stuff because that
Yeah.
was where B Rod probably excelled the most, and I think C Rod can do that pretty well. But
Hmm.
that would be the only thing that I would say is like maybe some they're lacking overall. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think we're gonna see Bill, and we're gonna see Bill plenty. I mean, he might get
Yeah.
10 carries in this game, and that'll be the most carries by a fourth string running back out of the whole league probably. But I
Yeah.
just see all of them playing. I see all of them making some kind of impact, and it could be like a week to week thing where each week one guy makes a difference, whether that's McNichols this week, whether that's Eckler next week, something like that. So I think they're just all going to play. I think for me, one of the things that was a surprise or something that was exciting is seeing Ali Kaho gain a spot
Yeah.
on the team. We were talking about this in our last predictions, is just about how we both really thought he played well and well enough to make the team, but we just didn't know if he had a spot in mind, if they had a spot for him. And so seeing him make the team, that was pretty exciting to see. Now, will he stick with that? We don't know because is the Kendrick
Hmm.
Bourne thing where it seems like they're waiting on, is Kendrick Bourne somebody that they're going to sign? Is he going to come here? Is he going to go to San Francisco? How's that going to change things? I think we both were kind of thinking that Josh Johnson would have got cut, but he stayed and made the team. So do they use Bourne on him? Like I don't know. I don't know how they're gonna finagle the roster, but at least for the time being, Cajo is gonna be on this roster. He's gonna play a little bit. I don't know if it's gonna be mostly special teams or if he'll get in at all as a linebacker. But I think that was probably my biggest surprise. And
Hmm.
but yeah, I mean, obviously the roster's ready to go. Terry's back, so that was good to just get that handled, get that solidified. I don't think I really wanted to talk about it much. That was kind of why I think that like we could have jumped on and did a video about it, but like everybody was discussing it, and like for me, it
Yeah.
was just kind of like I don't know about how you felt. I just knew it was always going to happen, and if it didn't happen, that would have been the story that I would have wanted to talk about on the impact if they did trade him. But I think in my head they were always going to keep him, so it's just like wait until it's done. I just felt like it wasn't anything to really talk about until it was done. So did you have any comments on that or no?
Yeah, no, real quick, in terms of
Hmm.
Kaho making the
Hmm.
team, because everybody was like, "Oh, how don't?" I had people texting me on Twitter like, "Oh, yeah, I like, why don't you have him on the list?" And I'm like, it's not that I don't have Kaho on my list. Like, I think he's a great guy. He played really well in preseason. He had a decent camp. it was just, and David Harrison from Locked On Commanders also said this. It's not that we weren't rooting for him to be on the roster. It's just we were thinking about other things. Like my whole thing was I had Duke Riley on my list
Hmm.
because of special
Hmm.
teams. Like there were
Hmm.
other things that I was considering. So
Yeah.
that's why Kaho wasn't on my list. But I'm glad that he made the team. I think he's a great player. I think he's gonna do well in Washington.
Yeah, I mean, it's so
So
funny too because it's like, if people want to argue like, oh, why didn't you have Colin on the list? He kind of barely made it, right? Like there was a lot of
yeah.
people, most of us who cover this team or who are in this position to make these roster moves or
Yeah.
predictions, like anybody who's like following the team strong enough, probably got like 90% of the roster correct, right? It was really those
Yeah.
last like five guys that were like interchangeable. And yeah, some people had Duke Riley, some people had Michael Gallup, some people, you know what I mean? Like I heard a lot of
Yeah.
different things and it was just like one or two guys that might have
KJ.
been different. Yeah, exactly. So for those who are like, why didn't you have Kyle? It was like, look, I mean, we would love to have Kyle. If we could go to 55, he probably would have made it on our 55. But
Yeah.
53, it was too close. We weren't sure.
Yeah.
And with Belore, we weren't sure if they were going to keep more than,
That was another thing too.
they kept a lot of linebackers. Like it's the most linebackers that I've seen them keep in a very long time. So, I'm fine with being wrong because I like the guy and I want him to succeed and I'm excited to see him play and I thought he deserved it. I just
Yeah.
didn't know if they could fit him in. So I'm kind of glad that they did find a way to fit him in. So, but yeah, let me ask you about Terry. If you have anything on
Yeah.
Terry, you can mention it and then we can go into like what we expect in the game.
Yeah, no, so for Terry McLaurin, honestly, like I just needed y'all to kind of chill a little bit because I knew Terry was getting signed. It was just all of a matter of when. Like, obviously, all of us didn't expect for it to be drawn out this long. But,
Yeah.
I'm glad Terry's back. He seemed happy. I even had people texting me, like, oh, that still isn't what he asked for. He said in the press conference, that's
He got
exactly
what he
what he
wanted.
wanted.
Yeah.
So, let's just leave it there.
And that's negotiations. Like, look, even if me and you
Yeah.
are negotiating, like, we're probably gonna find some things that I don't love. I negotiate with my wife every day, and there's times where I'm like, fine, I gotta, meet her halfway, right? So
Yeah.
that's just how it goes. So,
And
but
then
yeah,
it's just
anyways,
like, and then it's just like too, like for Terry, like Terry never wanted to leave Washington. So it's just
hmm
like, it was only a matter of time before he gave in or Adam Peters gave in. And it's a process. I do commend Adam Peters for the way he carried himself and carried the organization out through this process in
hmm
terms of Terry because there were some, I think Terry, I can see the gratitude in him and I can also see, the learning experience that he got through this. I
yeah,
do feel
yeah,
like, this was good. This was a good stepping stone. And, it was a test, to see how far this could really go. And I think, Terry is meant to be in Washington. So, it was just a matter of time and Adam Peters as a GM, I see the growth and the benefit of having him in Washington every single week. So,
hmm
I think it was just a great decision. Terry, he got what he wanted. Our biggest nightmare is over. So, now we're on to week 1 and just seeing Terry out there with Debo is just very like when I saw that
it's
video
exciting. It's
yeah, it was
exciting, yeah.
exciting. When I filmed that video of them out there that one day and I posted it on Twitter, it was just amazing,
No,
honestly.
it's exciting, man. It's exciting to see because I think we've been seeing Debo play so well, and Jaden and Debo having that connection.
Yeah.
And so getting Terry back, you're like, oh my God, now the offense is really going to soar. Because, look, I mean,
Yeah.
we've been watching him play against certain people,
Hmm.
kind of like, KJ Osborne, Michael Gallup, Chris Moore, guys that were playing hard, but just not Terry. You know what I mean? So being
Yeah.
able to see them together, it does get exciting for the season. And now that we're in week 1, it's like, yo, let's get it on and popping, let's get it
Yeah.
rolling. So, okay, well, let's talk about week 1. I mean, look, we got the
Yeah.
Giants coming in here. We can mention the injury report currently, which has a few players on it. It doesn't seem like any. The only person I'm nervous about. I mean, it looks like Dorrance Armstrong, Noah Brown, Jonathan Jones are all limited today. Matt Gay was full practice. Mariota was full. So my biggest, probably the ones that give me the most concern is probably Dorrance Armstrong because I feel like he's probably the one that makes the most impact. Noah
Yeah.
Brown also does, but we're getting Terry back. You think you could be able to handle if he wasn't able to play, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
And then Jonathan Jones, we're pretty happy, or it seems like the team is pretty happy with like Amos, Lattimore, Sanders still, but I think having Jones come in as that, fourth to fifth corner would be really nice. But they
Yeah.
have depth there. So like I think the biggest one is Armstrong. But yeah, I mean, we got a pretty decent team coming in with the Giants. Like, what's your concerns? You know what I mean? Like, let's talk about the offense overall versus their defense. What are you expecting? What are you nervous about? Just tell me your overall thoughts.
Well, it's gonna be good. Also too, just going back to the depth chart, Josh Connolly Jr. is number one as the starting right
Yeah.
guard. So that
Right
that's
tackle.
good for
Sorry.
him. Right tackle. My
Yeah.
apologies.
No, you're
Right
good. You're good.
tackle. So, it's definitely something to kind of keep in mind. I'm excited to see him play in a full game where starters are included and not
Hmm.
just, those third or fourth string guys. So we'll get
Hmm.
to really see like where that push to the pass rush really goes. But for me personally, I am excited to kind of see our offense match up with their defense because the Giants this year are kind of a little bit like underrated in a way in our
Hmm.
division.
Hmm.
Obviously the Cowboys aren't where anybody wants them to be. So, and with them not having Michael Parsons this year, kind of puts them at the bottom of the division. However, the Giants and the Eagles this season, obviously the reigning Super Bowl champions, will probably be the Commanders' top competition this year in the division. And I think that if we can get past, well, if they can get past the Giants, facing the Eagles, that's something that, obviously they've been worried about for a year now. But in
Hmm.
terms of the Giants, I will say a little bit to me, they're their team is kind of leveled this year. I'm still like looking to see really what's going to spark, but I'm excited to see, our offense in terms of just having Jaden, having Debo out there, having Terry, having the O line out there in full. I believe is Brandon Coleman supposed to be playing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so he'll be back too because I thought I saw that as well. So that's going to be definitely interesting. And then also too, I did see Noah Brown had a light day yesterday.
Hmm.
So, just like that kind of brings back to the conversation of Kendrick Bourne, just adding that depth to the wide receiver room for the Commanders. I think, that's fine because Noah's been gradually getting back into things anyway. So,
Hmm.
just kind of just keeping that in mind, it wouldn't be bad if the Commanders did sign Bourne, just to have that extra cushion, between Jalen and Luke. So, I do feel like, our offense is going to be pretty well against their defense. And I feel like our defense will be pretty solid against their offense. They're gonna have Russell Wilson out there,
Well,
obviously.
let's stick to offense
Yeah.
first because I have
Yeah.
some comments about it. Like, because my biggest thing is that like offensively, I feel like if they can block them up, they should
Yeah.
have success, right? Because the
Hmm.
biggest thing, what I would say is that I think you mentioned that Dallas is at the bottom. I don't think Dallas is officially at the bottom, but I think them.
Yeah.
I think Dallas lost a lot with Micah, and I feel like
That's my
them
point.
and the Giants would be fighting for the last spot. But yeah, are the Giants a sneaky good team? Kind of like they're underrated for sure.
Yeah.
They're the
That's
most
what I was gonna
underrated
say.
team. Yeah, they're the most underrated team, and I think their defense is their strong point of this team because when you look at guys like
Hmm.
Abdul Carter, obviously Brian Burns on the D line, Kayvon Thibodeau, they have three guys that are really good pass rushers. They have Dexter Lawrence in the middle. So
Right.
if the Commanders can block them up, I think that they will have success because their corners aren't great. They have, a couple good, strong safeties, but it's really their D line that stands out the most. So if they can block them, and this is what you revamped the whole O line for this reason. Like you drafted Josh Connerly because of his success versus Abdul Carter, and the fact that these teams are getting stronger on the D line, we thought they'd be going against Michael Parsons, so that's another reason why they got an O lineman in the first round. Either way, Dallas Philly, New York, they've all had good defenses, and you got to win the trenches. So
Yeah.
getting Josh Connerly, getting Tunsil, moving Coleman inside, they've really revamped the O line. If the O line can block and keep Jaden clean, I think the offense is going to do pretty well. I really do, because I just
Yeah.
think that outside of that, outside of their D line, I don't know how talented the rest of their defense is. It is talented. I just don't know. I think that you could argue who has the edge if you can block them up. So
Yeah. I just
yeah, I mean
don't. Yeah,
yeah,
going
go
back
ahead.
to like what you had said about the Cowboys, like I'm not saying anything because like we know that it's true. Yeah, I'm saying that hypothetically, I
Yeah.
don't typically see the Cowboys out beating the Giants kind of like how it was last year, the way that it
Yeah,
was
like
last year.
they definitely took a hit. What I would say is that if the Giants and Cowboys played today, I think I would still pick the Cowboys barely though. Whereas last
Hmm.
year I think I would have picked them without question, right? So that's where I'm like I get what you're saying. They definitely took a hit. Losing Micah definitely hurts, and I don't think the Cowboys will be as good as they have been in the past. They've just been on
Yeah,
a trajectory
absolutely.
down, and this is where you got to capitalize on that Super Bowl window. I think they're losing the Super Bowl window. I think last year might have been their like last chance, and it just was a disaster from the beginning. So,
Hmm.
anyways, yeah. So like basically, I do think that this offense will have success if they can block them up. And do I think they can block them up? I do. I really think that we're really going to see this revamped O line really come to form, because we have not been able to see the O line play together like all season. Because even the first train, or excuse me, that one drive that they had against the Bengals in the second preseason game. Pretty sure Tunsil wasn't out there, and
Yeah.
was Coleman not out there? There was at least like two or three like of the starters that weren't even playing. So this is going
Yeah.
to be our first time seeing the starters play, and it's go time. So it's
Yeah.
a great test for them, because it's like one of the better D lines that they'll play.
Uh-huh.
But we'll see if they'll be ready. Go ahead.
Just a
You gonna say
reminder
something?
too,
Yeah.
because I said right guard for Josh instead of right tackle. That's what came to mind because I was so busy
Mhm.
thinking about Allegretti and
Yeah.
Wiley because on the
Yeah.
depth chart it said
It
either
has,
one of them.
yeah, they have an or on in between them. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why,
Well,
I am kind of
and yeah, and look
interested to
for
see how
me.
that's going to work.
Yeah, and for me, I think that's great. Like, the Allegretti and Wiley were both starters last year. So if you're telling
Yeah.
me that they're battling for a spot, and a spot that will be occupied by Sam Cosmi when he gets back from IR or whatever, that just shows you the depth of this O line and how it's transformed just in 1 year. So okay, well, yeah, you were talking about the defense a little bit. They have Russell Wilson coming into town. They have
Yeah.
Malik Neighbors on that team.
Absolutely.
Last year in that first game when they played him, Malik Neighbors was destroying Michael Davis. I mean, Michael Davis was being
Yeah.
exposed, and I was basically saying I thought Michael Davis might come in and surprise people. He surprised them in a bad way. So like basically, I think my biggest thing is, do this? Does this team have the the corners to keep up with Malik Neighbors, and can they get a pass rush on Russell Wilson? I mean, we saw on the depth chart that Andrew Thomas did not practice today. That's one of their best linemen, and if he's not practicing today, that's a really bad sign about him actually playing in the game.
Yeah,
So what's
absolutely.
your take? What's your take on their offense against this defense? Do you think that this defense will have success, or are they going to struggle a little bit?
I think the defense is ready. And one of the biggest things that we've been seeing in preseason is if there are guys that are out or that have light practices or have light days, it was definitely some of the defense, of course, like, in terms of just like not playing Bobby Wagner. Same with Frankie. I would also say with Vaughn, just that core in general, like not playing them, they're gearing them for week one, obviously. And in terms of just like for the cornerbacks, Mikey Samer still, I think he's ready. Same with Noah I, and you have, Trey Amos, you have Marshawn Lattimore. We'll be seeing him play in a full game with no really injury let ups this time. So it's like it's going to be very interesting to see. I'm excited to see them kind of play this out, and of course the safeties, you have Will Harris up there and then Quan Martin. So that's going to be exciting to definitely see against this offense that they're in terms of rebranding or revamping for
Hmm.
New York. So I'm
Yeah.
definitely excited to see it. It's just going to be because the defense has been winning the trenches all of camp and all of preseason. It's definitely exciting to see who's going to be that kind of standout guy for each position for the defense this year.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think people are going to be more surprised by the change in the defense from last year to this year. Like I think
Hmm.
there's an automatic assumption that the offense is going to be better. Like if the offense isn't better than last year, or at least on par with last year, there's going to be people who are disappointed. I think with the defense, people are kind of like, yeah, we don't know, and I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised about how good this defense is.
Yeah.
I've been very impressed with the defense, and granted, I could be completely wrong with my assessment, but they have just looked the part. The D line has been bringing pressure, and we haven't even seen Von Miller play really at all. Jacob Martin has been a surprise.
Yes.
John Newton has played pretty hard. Dorrance Armstrong looks like he could have a breakout year. And then
Absolutely.
the DBs, I mean, look, the difference, I mentioned last year with Neighbors and how he played against his team in that first meeting, and I mean, he was torching them. This year, it's three different DBs that he's going to have to go against. I mean, if you add Jonathan Jones to that, that's four stronger DBs, stronger than any of the DBs he went against last year, or at least any of the corners. I mean, he went against Michael Davis, St. Juice, and Forbes last year, and now
Yeah.
he has to go against Lattimore, Amos, Mikey, and Jonathan Jones. Like for me, I'm not saying that he won't have success because he is a dynamic player that might be a top five candidate at the receiver position, but at the same time, I mean, I just feel like that's their only real threat outside of their quarterback. And I'm not really a big Russell Wilson fan, so I think that especially with them losing alignment, if Andrew Thomas doesn't play, watch out. This team might have a good amount of sacks. I think this is where they're going to really win the game. I think the offense might struggle a little bit more than we're anticipating in this game, but I think the defense is going to really stand out to make it probably like a slower, or excuse me, like a slower game, or maybe just like a lower scoring game. But I definitely think that the defense is going to come out and ball out. That's my prediction
Yeah.
overall. So
And also too, just to keep
look,
in
yeah,
mind,
go ahead.
yeah, also too, just to keep in mind too, like
Hmm.
there are some guys that we're still trying to in our heads figure out, like Marshawn. And of course,
Hmm.
definitely Trey Amos. Like Trey Amos had a good camp, but he was also injured too. So we were
Hmm.
trying to figure that out. And Marshawn had an injury last year. So there's still guys that we're still kind of assessing and kind of evaluating as we go along within the season because they didn't
Hmm.
play either in preseason or they were injured
Hmm.
at the end of camp. So we're
Yeah.
just trying to put the pieces to the puzzle together. So
Yeah, we're the thing, and in preseason is one thing. I've seen people ball out in preseason and then they're trash in the regular season, and vice
yeah.
versa. So like this is the real first look of it. We've been seeing them in practice, so I think we have like maybe a little bit of a better idea than just a common fan or whatever. But at the same time, people got to perform when the lights are on, when
Mhm.
when the whistle blows. So, will this team perform the way we think they will? I don't know. We'll see. Is Amos going to be somebody that we've been raving about how good Amos has been? Is he just going to be getting torched out there when it's actually game time? Like you don't know. Some people are practice players and not great game players, and some people are kind of the opposite, where they don't practice well, but
Yeah.
somehow in the game they ball out. So, okay, well then I want to kind of wrap this up because we've been talking for almost a half hour, and to be honest, I think we're just ready for the game.
Yes.
Let me ask one prediction that you have, like just something, like last time you predicted that Jaden would score a touchdown and you got that right. So like, give me one prediction on what you think will happen, and then give me a score prediction.
Okay. Just thinking. Hmm.
Do you want me to go first? I'll go first if you're still thinking about it.
Yeah, you can go first. You can go
Okay.
first because,
So
like, I was
yeah,
thinking about mine just a
no,
little bit.
no. This is my prediction. My prediction is that we are going to see a sack by Von Miller at some point in the game, and I'm going to give even another one that I think we get a pick from Lattimore in the game. So these two older heads that, people kind of forgot about, I think they're going to come out and show out. And so we're going to get a pick from Lattimore and a sack from Von Miller. And I would say my score prediction, I'm going to say it's going to be 20. I'm going to go with 24-10 Commanders. I think the Commanders will look good. I don't know. I think they might struggle to just get some points. But I think the biggest thing I think will come out of it is being like, man, they played really hard and the defense really showed out. But that's my prediction, 24-10.
Okay. Okay. So I have a couple of predictions in my head. And that's pretty good. I like your predictions. But I have a couple in my head. I think Terry McLaurin is gonna score a touchdown tomorrow.
Okay.
I mean, I'm on Sunday. Sorry, not tomorrow. He's gonna score a touchdown on Sunday.
You're like he playing for Maryland tomorrow, No,
no, because I just got football in my head so bad.
No, I get that.
Like NFL, college, y'all know what I mean.
It's all we're locked in. We're locked in.
Yeah, so I think Terry McLaurin, he's gonna get a touchdown on Sunday. My second prediction, I think we're gonna see something really big from Josh, whether that is like a big hit or just something where we're gonna be like, wow, I think we're gonna see that.
You're talking about Josh Connolly?
Yes.
Okay, got it. So like a big block or something like that?
Yeah, I feel like that's what we're gonna see. Maybe something shocking.
Yeah. Okay.
And then my last prediction, I wanna say, because I'm like thinking of like a prediction, like a defensive prediction, like for like one of the DBs. I either think that Lattimore or Mikey could get a pick on Sunday. I think
Russell's gonna throw a pick. I would be surprised if they don't get at least one pick. It's really who is gonna get it. Who's gonna get it? That's my biggest thing.
I'm gonna go with Lattimore, notice his pick game. I don't like to put that on Russ, but I noticed his pick game strong last year on Christmas Day.
He's not that great. I'll be honest. I think he's a little washed, and maybe I'm wrong. I am a fan of his, but I just don't think that I think the specialness. I think Jackson Dart will be starting for them the next time that this team plays them. Later in the year. So and
my
score prediction. Yeah.
Yes. So for the score, I'm thinking 26-10, or I want to say, not trying to make them look cocky, or 24-7. That's
all right. You gotta pick one. You gotta pick one or the other.
Don't do that.
No, you got to. Because if you get it right, you can't be like, oh, I got it right when you took two answers. You got to pick one.
Actually, no, not 26-10. I'll do 27-10.
27-10?
Yeah,
okay.
I'll do 27-10. Yeah, because 24 and 7, that's kind of cocky.
I don't think it's that cocky. I don't think it's crazy to say. I don't think it's crazy to say just because I feel like if the defense plays like we think they can, I don't. They could easily play well enough that they don't score a lot of points. What's the cocky part? That they only score 7 or that they score 24? Because 24 is not that much.
No, I'm saying that if I don't want to underestimate the Giants because I know that they've been revamping, but I also know how good potentially this team of a Commanders can be. So it's I want to give it the open.
Yeah, look, I'm not trying to be biased, I guess, from covering this team. I'm very I try to be very honest with my coverage of this team.
Yeah.
I just think that if a very close game, what's more likely, a blowout by the Commanders or a very close game where the Giants winning? I think a blowout by the Commanders is more likely.
Yeah,
but
probably.
It's also maybe there's some players on the. I just think that they're gonna struggle if they lose an O lineman. They're just
Yeah.
going to struggle offensively, I think. And I think it's mainly because we've seen this D line play really well. And I think I'm just a fan of DQ and Joe Witt's defense. And I'm a believer of what they've been able to do, especially what they did with the Dallas teams that had really good defenses like 3-4 years ago. That I
Yeah.
just feel like I'm not convinced that Russell Wilson and Neighbors are going to be able to have a bunch of success. Neighbors is the only guy I think that really scares anybody on that team.
Yeah,
Outside of
pretty
that,
much.
like Scattaboo, Tyrone Tracy, like none of these guys are scaring really anybody. So it's not like cockiness. It's just if I would just be surprised if it happened. If it happens, it happens. This is the NFL. It could always
It
things
can always
always
happen.
change. Yeah, like
That's why I don't want it to be too cocky, but also
sure,
too,
sure,
in my head, obviously I'm gonna go with 26-10, but
yeah,
24-7, that's not impossible. I
okay,
just, I want to see it.
yeah,
I want to see
okay.
it
Well,
before
yeah.
I
Look,
give that big
that's
prediction.
no, that's fair. I mean, I feel like they win this game. I'd be very surprised if they lost. It could be closer than we think, but I still just would be surprised if they lost, and it just wouldn't be a good look for them to lose this game at home
Mm-hmm.
to a Giants team that we just don't really know much of. They did make some good acquisitions on the defensive
Yeah.
side of the ball, so I do think their defense is going to be ready to play. I just offensively, I don't see how they score a bunch of points unless there's like turnovers and stuff like that
Yeah,
from
or
them.
something
So
crazy
yeah,
where
just
we
crazy stuff
just,
that would happen. So
yeah.
okay, well look, that's pretty much it, man. You know what I mean? Like look, we're ready for some football, man. I mean, I think
Yes.
as we grow this channel, like we want to be able to do a few videos a week. Obviously one to obviously do a preview of the next game that's coming, but also to try to do some kind of recap and just any news that comes up. But for the most part, we'll be out there. If you guys see us, feel free to say hello. And we just hope everybody has a good, Sunday.
Yeah.
Skylar, you have any last words for everybody?
Yes. We're gonna try to get some practice content next week. Once the schedule kind of comes out into fold after the Giants game, but we are gonna be at the Giants game this weekend. So if you see us, say hello. And yeah, and also too, I'm excited. I do want us to kind of get into college football too a little bit more because
Oh,
that's pretty
100%.
big. Especially
I
too, I've
love college
noticed
football.
like after Howard won, I did see like people texting me about it and stuff like that. I definitely want to keep
Mm-hmm.
that going, because we do need to talk about HBCU sports just a little bit more. And
100%. I mean, this is a black paper that we work for.
yeah,
It's HBCUs are extremely important, and we want to represent and follow Howard's progression overall. And
yeah,
look, Howard Hampton's coming up in a couple weeks. That's going to be at Audi Field.
big
That's one of my
one.
favorite games of the year. So definitely we'll be making sure we talk about that one as well, and just the changes that have happened with that team also.
Hmm.
But yeah, look, we're gonna keep up with this. More content is coming. And please like and subscribe. That helps us. It gives us more momentum and more motivation to keep going, right?
Yes,
We're pushing through. We're getting more and more people that are interested in what we're doing. But we're gonna keep going, and we appreciate all the support. So we'll see you guys Sunday. Good luck to your favorite teams over the weekend, and
yes,
we'll probably come back with a video on Monday or Tuesday. So,
yeah.
all right, y'all, have fun. Peace out.